So this is the ENGWE Engine 2.0. An engine is a very ironic name for an electric bicycle, but this is a full suspension folding e-bike. It comes with a torque sensor, which is nice over the normal cadence sensor that we get in these bikes. A 1200 watt peak power motor, 750 watts normally, 52 volt, 16 amp hour battery, hydraulic brakes, 20x4-inch tires, and of course it is foldable. So I think that at just under $1,300, this is a good value for a torque sensor e-bike. Let's get this thing out of its box and get it out for a ride. So this is how everything is boxed up when you open the box. You can see the blue frame is peeking out here because I opted for them to send me the blue frame because I have enough black e-bikes. I wanted to try something else, see how it does. Let's get this thing out of the box. Oh, there goes the fender. So this is the seat that it comes with, just looks like a regular bike seat. And the size is 33.9. Wheel here already comes inflated, which is actually pretty nice. So the charger that comes in the box is a 58.8 volt, 3 amp charger. So you should be able to charge up pretty quick with this. So of course this is a folding e-bike. So all you have to do to unfold it is undo this latch and then open it up like that and you can get the battery out. And here you can see our 52 volt, 16 amp hour battery. I think this is a generic cell battery and it just slides right into the frame. So this is what the bike looks like. I got it in this nice blue color here. I really like how it looks. The paint looks really nice, looks good quality. So let's just do a little walkthrough of the bike. So here we've got 160 millimeter hydraulic brakes on the front here, which is nice and they should stop us really good. We've got 20x4-inch fat tires. Seen these a lot on bikes on the channel. We've got metal fenders. And we've got a little headlight and a reflector combo here, which is nice. I'm gonna take the protective film off of that. So then on our front shocks here, we have a preload adjustment and then we have a lockout. It's either locked or unlocked here, which is nice to have. And then obviously this is a folding e-bike, so we have folding handlebars here that we can just fold down if we were to fold this bike up. Just looking at the cockpit here, you can see we have this nice color display. And then on the left here, we have these really comfortable rubber grips. And then we have our thumb throttle on the left here, which is a first for me. And then we have our plus and minus for our pedal assist. And then we have this button that cycles through the menu here. And then down here we have our headlight button, which the headlight looks pretty decent. We'll see how that does later on. And then we have our hydraulic brakes right here. They feel really good. Anyways, like I said, you got your color screen here. And on there you can cycle through the trip, the odometer, the maximum speed, and then your average speed, and that's about it. And then if you hold plus and minus, you can get into the menu and change some settings in there. So then on this side, you have your shifter here, and it's a little bit of a different style than I've seen on the channel. Obviously, there's no throttle on this side because you got your thumb throttle here. And then you have your other brake. And this is the rear brake right here, and then this is the front brake. You can also adjust the height of the handlebars. Down here, you have your key for the battery. This actually has to be in to turn the battery on, which I don't really like, but it is what it is. Then over here, you can charge the battery in the frame, which I probably will do because it's kind of a pain to get this battery out of this thing. This is obviously full suspension and you have your shock right here. We'll see how that does. So there are these folding pedals here that you just push in and then you could fold them like that. And then they fold back out when you're done. Back here, we have 160 millimeter rotors on the back as well, obviously hydraulic. And then we have this rack, which has a limit of 25 kilograms, which is stamped on the back there. We have our tail light here, and it is a brake light. Over here, we have a Shimano Altus derailleur. Then we have 8 gears on here. And then on the front, I'm not sure how many teeth that is, but hopefully it can keep up with us pedaling. The same 20x4-inch fat tires on the back. And again, one thing about these tires is that they actually came inflated from straight out of the box, which that was the first time I've ever seen that on an e-bike. There are 5 pedal assist levels on this bike, and I believe it is limited to 20 miles an hour on throttle and then 28 if you're pedaling. First, we fold down our handlebars, pull this lever out, and now what we can do is fold the bike like this, and then you can throw this in your car's trunk or whatever inside of the hatchback. And it's gonna take up just a little bit less space and maybe make it a little bit easier to fit in your car. So it's nice, but this is a heavy bike, so you do have to wrestle with it a bit to fold the frame back and everything. And you don't look exactly, oh, whoa. You don't look exactly glamorous when you're doing this, but I guess it's better than nothing. And plus it feels very sturdy, even though it is a folding bike. And also I am 5'9", and this is how I fit on the bike. Obviously you do have your adjustments, you can adjust the handlebars and everything, but this is comfortable for me. This is my pedal stroke. I can have both feet on the ground, and I'm very comfortable on this bike so far. Let's take this thing out on the road and get it out for a test drive. This seems like a really cool bike, and I'm excited to see how it does. All right guys, so we are out here on the ENGWE Engine Pro 2.0, and this is a really fun bike. This is a bike that I've actually found myself pedaling, and if you watch the channel a lot, you know that I don't really pedal e-bikes that much, but this is a bike that's really made to be a bicycle first. I also like the fact that this has a 52 volt system, and you can really feel that extra power when you're riding this thing. So one of the things that I really like about this bike is the fact that it has a torque sensor. And when you're pedaling this bike, instead of just having a set pedal assist number that once you start pedaling, it'll just max out at like most of the other bikes that I have, this one will give you power based on how hard you're pedaling. It can sense how hard you're pedaling and give you the amount of power that you want. So right now I'm just pedaling really lightly here at like 13 miles an hour, and it's sensing that, and it's keeping me here. But if I start pedaling a little bit harder, you can see now it starts to take me a lot faster. And you can see that when I'm really pedaling on it, it tops out at about 28, 29 miles an hour. So to me, that's really the big appeal of this bike, is the fact that it has a torque sensor. And obviously, as you saw earlier, we do have a thumb throttle here too, and it's on this side, which takes a little bit of getting used to. I've actually hit the gear switch a few times because I thought that was the throttle. When you're on thumb throttle only, it takes you up to about 20 miles an hour. Now, I do wish that you could get up to that 28 mile an hour top speed on the thumb throttle only. But, you know, 20 miles an hour is a nice little cruising speed when you're just on bike trails like this and stuff. But to unlock the actual top speed of this bike, you need to be pedaling. And again, that's gonna get you up to about 28, 29 miles an hour. Now, as far as the ride on this bike, it's actually pretty comfortable. As you guys saw in the unboxing, we do have full suspension on here. And I was actually worried that that back suspension wasn't gonna be doing much. It is kind of a short travel, and I was worried that I was gonna be feeling a lot of bumps still. But in reality, this is actually a really good ride, especially for a folding e-bike. I think the 20x4 tires do help you a bit with that, especially if you deflate them a little bit. But the ride on this bike is actually really good for what this is, for a folding e-bike. You know, I've been on folding e-bikes before where the suspension is kind of an afterthought, and you might have front suspension, but you don't have any rear suspension. So even though the rear suspension isn't super plush, it's not super soft, I will very, very, very rarely complain about having rear suspension on a bike because it just helps with the ride quality so much more. And we'll take this bike off-road a little bit later and see how it does, but just cruising around here on these smooth, relatively smooth bike trails, this thing is nice to ride around. For what this bike is designed for, which is just getting around and maybe carrying some stuff on the back and just being like a regular bicycle, not a super fast, super crazy bike, this does the job really well so far. So this is a 750 watts hub motor on this bike, single motor obviously, and it does have a 1200 watt peak, I believe. And this feels adequate for what this bike is. Pulling over here real quick and coming from a stop, the brakes are really good on this bike, by the way. Just coming from a stop here, it kind of eases you into the power. It doesn't give you all the power all at once, so you're not spinning out. It's not an uncontrolled experience here. With this hub motor, the power definitely feels adequate for this bike, especially on throttle only. And this being a 52 volt system again, this feels really nice. It gives you good power, and it just, I think, is more than enough to get you around every day. Also, the display is really easy to read here in the daylight. I can see it perfectly clear, and I can see it with my sunglasses on. And it is nice to see an actual battery meter up here. It would be nice if it showed the percentage, but this one's fine. So this bike is actually a bicycle first, and it's meant to be pedaled. A lot of bikes that I check out on this channel are sort of like motorcycle, moped first, and they're like bicycle second. This is a really comfortable bike to pedal, and I find that with this torque sensor, I find myself like just pedaling it without even thinking about it. Like there have been times where I haven't even been using the throttle, and then I notice like, oh, I'm just pedaling. So this really is a really nice experience. Nothing beats a torque sensor as far as you know, pedaling and everything, because it just responds to your inputs. It's not like a lot of bikes that I have where it's just a predetermined setting. But there are 8 speeds on this bike. My phone's in the way, but you can see that there is a different shifter on this, and right now I'm in 8th gear, just pedaling in pedal assist 5, going about 13 miles an hour. I think you will get really good range out of this bike if you're sitting here just pedaling along like this at about 13 miles an hour. You know, we've already gone about 10 miles on this ride, and we've only got 1 battery bar down, so I think the battery life on this bike is going to be really good. You do have 5 pedal assist settings, so really from what I can tell on this bike, the pedal assist is just going to be the sensitivity of the torque sensor. So I mean, if I'm pedaling now, It's assisting me a little bit, but I don't think I'm gonna get up to that top speed of 28 on this. So from what I can tell on this bike, in any pedal assist number, you can get up to the top speed of 20 on throttle. But when you're pedaling, it seems that these pedal assist numbers adjust the sensitivity of the torque sensor. So in pedal assist 1 here, I'm not getting the power as quickly as I would be in something like pedal assist 5, where I can actually hit that top speed of 28 miles an hour. Whereas if I was in pedal assist 1, I wouldn't be able to hit that. Take this thing off road real quick here on this little grass trail and see how the suspension is. Wow, it's actually absorbing a lot of the bumps. This is kind of surprising for a folding e-bike like this, without a ton of travel in the rear. This actually absorbs a lot of these bumps. And you can hear it in my voice, like I'm shaking around a little bit, but yeah, this isn't so bad. This is actually fairly comfortable, but obviously this isn't what this bike is really designed for. I mean, you can take it off road and everything, but so I mean, as far as styling on this bike, I really like how this bike looks. I think ENGWE does a good job with their folding e-bikes and everything in the design. And you're spending a lot of money on an e-bike, and you want it to look cool. But the thing is about this design too, is it's still not so crazy looking like some of the other bikes that I try out, that people, you're not going to attract a ton of attention. I actually had a guy stop me and say that he liked the bike and everything earlier on the trail. I didn't get that on film, but this still does attract a little attention, but it's not a super like crazy looking bike to where people are going to think that you're riding a motorcycle on the trail or something. And you do want to kind of blend in a little bit when you're in the city. You don't really want to make yourself a target or anything, but this is a really cool looking bike, and I really like the design and how ENGWE does things. Obviously your seat post is adjustable and everything, but so is your handlebars. Spoked wheels are really awesome on here. I like those a lot too. Really the one thing that I haven't been liking about this bike so far is the fact that you can't reach that top speed without having to pedal. That's really, a bummer, but that's something that ENGWE does on their bikes, and I understand they want to be, legal and compliant and everything. But a lot of these Chinese e-bikes, you can just buy them off of Amazon or AliExpress or whatever, and they come out of the box, they can do over 30 miles an hour. And I know this bike is capable of going that fast, but I really couldn't find any way to unlock this. There might be a way out there where you can do it, but I think that ENGWE just programs these things so that they can only go 20 on throttle and then 28 when you're pedaling, just to comply with regulations here in the US. I don't know how it is in Europe. I think it might be even slower in Europe, but to have all this power and this big battery and everything and not be able to really max it out and use it to its full potential, kind of a bummer, but I understand. Not gonna lie, I kind of was a little bit nervous to take this thing off-road because my last ENGWE bike that I got, the L20 2.0, got a flat tire when I took it off-road, so that kind of sucked. But this thing does do well off-road. Again, it's not what it's made for, but it is possible, and it is fun just riding on grass like this and not having to pedal, and it feels like a little dirt bike or something. So we're out here now on these crushed limestone trails, and this bike can really handle whatever you throw at it with these 20x4 tires. Obviously, you're not going to be going like sand and stuff. It's really not powerful enough to do that, but just out here on this crushed limestone is nice. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about with this bike is that it does come with that rear cargo rack, and it has a capacity of 25 kilograms. So if you do need to carry around stuff on this bike, or you do want to have something back there, a little rack, or, well, obviously it comes with a rack, but if you want to have like a basket on the back or something, you can do that with this bike. And obviously it also folds up too. So this bike, as far as practicality goes, is a really practical bike. You're going to be able to put a decent amount of storage space on the back. I don't think that you could have anybody on the back. I don't think that's what this bike is designed for, to be carrying around people. But if you're in the city and you need to get around and have a little bit of storage space, I think this is going to be a really good option for you. So these hydraulic brakes feel really adequate for what this bike is capable of. Honestly, I would even say that hydraulic might be a little bit overkill on this bike, even though I'll never complain about having hydraulic brakes, because you cannot beat the feel compared to cable brakes. They're just so much better feeling wise. Also, I haven't had any noise after about 15 miles on these brakes, and I tried to bed them in as best as I can. So if you guys watch the channel, you know that I've had issues in the past with brakes just being super loud and squeaky. But for just cruising around on throttle, I'm almost 14 miles into this ride, and I only lost one battery bar so far, so we're doing really good as far as that goes. All right, so let's do a little bit of a hill test here. I'm gonna stop right at the bottom of this hill. Pretty steep hill that you'd struggle pedaling up, but just throttle only. Let's see how it does. Yeah, you can see we're accelerating up it, no problem. 52 volts is gonna handle hills pretty good. By the way, I'm 150 pounds, so I'm not the heaviest person, but you should be able to get up there even if you are a little bit heavier, no problem. Should be able to climb hills with ease. And also, it goes down hills just as good too. And look, I'm going 23 miles an hour now. So as you guys can see, the speedometer is pretty much dead accurate. It says 20 miles an hour on the screen there. It says 20 miles an hour on my phone. So that is nice that this speedometer on this bike is pretty much 100% accurate. So guys, so far I'm really enjoying the Engine Pro 2.0 so far. And I'm gonna keep riding this thing and I'll get back to you guys later on with how much range that I got out of this bike and what my ride looked like. All right guys, so just finishing up our ride here, you can see we have 1 bar of battery left and we've gone about 32-ish miles on this charge. We still have a few miles left in the battery most likely, but this has been a really impressive bike. I do really like this bike a lot. I think it's comfortable. I think it's a relatively good value for a torque sensor e-bike. I think it's got great brakes. I like the fact that it's 52 volts and it's got really good battery life for being a 16 amp hour battery. Of course, because we're only limited to 20 miles an hour, so that's gonna obviously give you more battery because we're not maxing it out completely. So other than that, guys, I'm very happy with this bike. I think it's performed really well. And if you need this as either just a fun bike to go out and ride around on trails and get some exercise, or whether you need this as a utility bike where you're gonna be using this as transportation, you know, you're gonna be hauling around groceries or stuff like that on here, I think this is a great bike either way. I don't think you can go wrong if you're looking for a bike that you actually want to use as a bicycle and be able to pedal. A torque sensor is really the best thing for that. So that being said, guys, you can go ahead and get this bike linked in the description below if you do want to pick this thing up. But with that, I want to thank you guys for watching the channel. Go ahead and subscribe and like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.